So I am driving to In-N-Out Burger to get my mom and my dad some food. My mom is not feeling well. My dad, he doesn't really drive that much, and his back is bothering him. So she texted me and asked me to go get them In-N-Out for dinner, right? And so that's what I'm doing. Now, the reason I wanted to, it made me think about longevity and diet in general, and I wanted to make this video because I wanted to talk about a concept which maybe we could call the 80-20 rule, right? My mom is 80 years old and she still goes to the gym, and my dad is 90. He does not go to the gym, but he is still pretty mobile. He's not in a wheelchair. Most of the time he'll use a cane to get around, but he's able to get around, right? And he's got some health issues, but you know, he's 90 years old. He's getting up there in years. So they've both kind of, you know, I guess represent longevity in a way. And the thing that I wanted to talk about, we call this the 80-20 rule. As long as I've known them, 54 years, right? I'm 54, I just turned 54 just about a week ago. And happy birthday. And as long as I've known them, they have predominantly eaten a diet of whole foods, right? So whole foods focused diet. In fact, when we were little kids, we would ask, you know, we would whine for snacks, right? We wanted to have snacks, and you know, I'm hungry. I just can't imagine that I have to imagine that over a while that just wore down my mom and just got on her nerves, you know. We had 5 kids in our family, 4 boys and 1 girl, and we just ate them out of the house. My dad was a teacher. He was a woodshop teacher, and they lived on 1 income. They raised us all on 1 income. I remember, you know, wanting snacks, and my mom would say, eat a carrot, eat an apple. I don't want an apple, I don't want a carrot. But ultimately the hunger, you know, would get to us, and we'd find ourselves chomping on a carrot or, you know, an apple. And if we, you know, really had it good, we would have celery with a little bit of peanut butter on it, right? So I mean, there were times where we had other kinds of snacks, but for the most part, we didn't have super highly processed foods as snacks. And looking back on that, I'm very grateful for that, because I learned to appreciate whole foods. In fact, my parents had a garden, and most of the time, they grew a good amount of their produce. We had a 1/4 acre lot in California. The soil was very, very rich. It used to be, the house that I grew up on was built on an orchard, right? Or what was used to be an orchard, and the soil was really good, so we could grow anything. And we would eat fresh grown produce from our backyard. So most of the time, my parents eat whole foods, and they've done that their whole lives. So now my mom is 80, she's very energetic, she goes to the gym. I mean, she looks like an old lady. Mom, no offense, but you know, I think you would agree. However, she's very exuberant and very sharp-minded, and she stays active. My dad, well, he's 90. He hobbles around like an old man, and his hearing isn't that great. His cognition is still pretty good, but you know, he's still very functional, very, you know, capable. But that's beginning to deteriorate, right? That's going away. But then again, he's 90 years old. And this whole 80-20 rule that I wanted to tell you about is that 80% of the time, right, you could be on a really good diet, a really good, I think my camera is wobbling around, sorry about that, but a really good whole foods diet. And if you're doing that for the most part, then 20% of the time, or even 10% of the time, or even 20% of the time, you could eat something like In-N-Out Burger, right? Do some fast food. Now, my parents, they don't have a really super strict diet, other than the fact that most of it is comprised of whole foods. And if you are relatively healthy, and most of the time, 80% of the time, you're following a real clean, whole foods oriented, whole foods based diet, your body can handle a little bit of candy here and there. Your body can handle a little bit of failure to yield. Failure to yield. I stopped at the stop sign at least, but then I kept going. I should let the other guy go. Anyways, your body can handle a little bit of detour off of that whole foods, the whole foods focused diet. Okay, so I just picked up my parents' order from In-N-Out, and I'm driving over to their house to drop it off. And I thought of one more thing I wanted to share with you regarding this 80-20 rule. When we were growing up, just as much as we would, ask for snacks, I want a snack, oh, I'm hungry. And then my mom would say, eat a carrot or eat an apple. We'd be like, I don't want a carrot. I don't want an apple, right? And as much as that would be the case, and of course, ultimately, we'd end up chomping on a carrot. As much as that would be the case, that eating a whole food snacks, right? Eating snacks in the way of whole foods was a common thing. Going out to eat fast food was an uncommon thing. Just like we would be asking for snacks, we would say, oh, we want to go to McDonald's, or please, can we go to Burger King or Carl's Jr. or something like that. And most of the time the answer was no. No, or no, we can't afford that. No, we can't do that. We can't afford that, right? Living on my dad's salary, my dad's teaching salary, raising all of us kids, 5 kids, they did not have a lot of discretionary income. And a lot of times going out to eat was not in the budget. Looking back on that, I realized that whether they knew it or not, or whether they were being intentional or not, they were teaching us very important lessons. And I am very grateful. I didn't know it at the time. I just thought we were deprived, right? We couldn't go to fast food like with my friends or something like that, right? But occasionally, on rare occasions, for a treat, we would go to McDonald's, right? Or Dairy Queen. And this was like a rare occurrence, and only as like a special occasion. So what happened is that we learned to associate going to fast food or going out to eat, as this was a rare thing that you only did on occasion. And so growing up, I realized that's just kind of how I've approached it. I don't eat fast food very often, very rarely. And my parents don't either to this day. It's just like, once in a month, maybe once every other couple of months or something like that. And growing up, that was kind of the way it was. And so that kind of played on into my adult life, where I rarely go out to eat. Usually we'll go out on a special occasion. I rarely eat fast food. Sometimes I do. But keep that at a minimum. It'll also help a good secondary benefit of that, right? Like my parents would say, no, we can't do that. That's too expensive. A secondary effect of eating out rarely is the financial benefit. You get to keep more of your money, right? But the health benefits are eating healthy, eating good, whole foods based diet most of the time, 80 to 90% of the time. And if you do that, then that other 20% or that other 10% of the time, it's okay to go eat fast food once in a while. It's okay to go out and eat, maybe not have the healthiest thing. It's okay to get a dessert once in a while. It's okay to eat candy, eat treats, eat these sugary things that normally we avoid. Because if most of the time you're eating a good, clean, whole foods based diet, your body can handle it. It's not going to impact your health negatively if that's the way you do it. On the other hand, if you flip it on it's the other way, right? 80 to 90% of the time you're eating fast food and candy and treats and highly palatable, hyper processed, ultra processed foods. And then only 10% or 20% of the time you're eating good, clean, whole foods, nutritious, packed whole foods. Well, your health is going to suffer. The life in your years is going to be less. The length of your years is going to be less. The increased risk of mortality, of all-cause mortality, is just going to go up and up and up and up. So those are some thoughts I wanted to share with you today. I hope it's been good. I just got to my parents' house. I'm out here talking out in their driveway to my camera in my car like a weirdo. So I think I'm going to say goodbye. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. All right, is that good? Okay, one more thing. I'm trying to end this video, but I keep thinking of these things to talk to you about. Just to illustrate a point. So I just dropped off, now my car smells like In-N-Out. Ugh. But I just dropped off the In-N-Out order for my parents, and they insisted on loading me up with peaches and tomatoes that they have grown in their garden and on their trees. My dad's so excited about these peaches, and I'm like, no, Dad, I'm fine. He's like, oh, you gotta have this one, you gotta have this one. And then he's pulling peaches out of their refrigerator. And I'm like, it's okay, Dad. I start closing the drawer. He opens it back up. No, we got to get more out of there. So they gave me this big bag of peaches that they've grown on their tree, and tomatoes that my mom has been trying to grow, and she's got some that are really nice. And so this is just to illustrate the point on most of the time, that's how they're eating. They're eating food that they're growing, or they're eating just whole foods that they get from the grocery store. Dropped off the In-N-Out, and I said, Mom, you don't really eat much fast food, do you? She's like, oh, hardly ever. Hardly ever. It's pretty fun. Anyways, good times. If you live like that, you're gonna live long, and you're gonna have more life in your life. You're gonna have more life in those years. Drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear if any of this rings true to you. Like, what about you when you were growing up, and your parents, and how did you eat, and all those kinds of things? I'd be interested in knowing that. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. I'm pretty sure this is the end of the video now. GoPro, stop recording.